We are back for more rifle platoon. Fuck yeah. Sorry for my mic fucking up last video. I'm not sure why that happens. So I'm quite annoyed that it did that. But yeah, quite annoyed. Um, Last we left off, um, I remember we had the decision, do we let our men rest or continue working? And I said, let them continue work because, you know, tiredness, there is a miracle drug called adrenaline that'll wake you right up during battle. Uh, Adrenaline will not lay your minds, however. You have to actually work for that. So, yeah, uh, that's the last decision we made. We're at section 85. Dead soldiers don't fight well either, Davis replied curtly. The enemy will be on us by this time tomorrow. The more mines we get in place, the better our chances. Continue to let 2 men from each squad rest. Put everyone else to work. Right, Lieutenant. I'll check the positions. We'll complete the minefields at M2 and M4 this morning. This afternoon, we'll lay wire along M4. At the same time, I'll get the squad leaders to complete overhead cover on each position. Piper kept the platoon working. The soldiers cursed and mumbled under their breath, but they obeyed. Men stretched pained muscles and cramped joints. Sluggishly, they left their fighting positions to lay wire, place and arm anti-tank mines, and fill sandbags. Piper enforced the sleep plan and made sure that those infantrymen who were resting did so in the shade of their ponchos. They worked all day. The effort was backbreaking. The sweat-stained men moved about the position like zombies. The desert sun bore down on them, making every task a challenge of endurance. Piper was everywhere, checking, inspecting, cajoling. He verified the overhead cover by making 2 men jump on the roof of each fighting position. Oh, I remember that. If the position didn't hold the weight of 2 men, it wouldn't be much protection against the enemy artillery. No, we don't want enemy artillery. Before sunset, the platoon had prepared 2 men fighting positions in BP Yankee and X-ray. Each position was 3 to 4 feet deep with heavy overhead cover. The steel roofs were reinforced by rock and layers of sandbags. Each position provided its occupants protection to the front and overhead and offered open firing positions to each side. Evening fell. The squad on security at BP Alamo left and occupied in positions at BP X-ray, carefully avoiding the mines that had been laid in each trail. The observation posts reported in, ready for another night of vigil. Sergeant Piper continued the sleep plan, rotating duties between sleeping and security. Each squad was required to have 2 men up and alert to provide security at all times. At 22, the platoon occupied BP Yankee and X-ray, ready for action. Maybe they'll try to sneak through some reconnaissance at midnight tonight, Davis thought. Yes, they'll probably come at midnight. Night fighting will be tricky business. Are you ready? Davis thought as he sat down in his bunker on BP Yankee. He pressed the radio receiver to his ear, waiting for the first report of contact that he was sure would occur. The company radio net was filled with routine reports, interrupted by a few intelligence updates from battalion that were passed over the command net by the company XO. Around midnight, the sky to the west was lit up by the bright flash of explosions and the eerie glow of artillery flares. We know this from when we died. This is, yeah, we are in a much better position. In spite of the apparent activity to the west, the OPs continue to send negative reports. What does negative as in no contact or negative as in things are going to hell? Probably things are going to hell. 1-6, this is OP south over. An excited soldier announced over the radio, interrupting the otherwise boring night. This is 1-6. Send it over. Davis replied, glancing at his watch. It was 2 in the morning. A steady, far-off beating sound rode closer by the minute, indicating the thrill of helicopter rotors. Helicopters, just off to the west. Headed our way. Davis didn't reply. The bright moonlight illuminated the Russian-made transport helicopters. Russian-made. Probably enemy then. As they popped over the reverse slope into visibility line and flew along the south wall, flying low to the ground. 4 helicopters sped past first platoon's positions before anyone could react. Davis stood up in his fighting position and observed the helicopters with his night vision goggles. He watched as the aircraft landed somewhere to the southeast of Captain Bloodill's battle position Bravo. Cowper, change the radio frequency, Davis ordered, his voice tinged with urgency. Company net. Cowper quickly struggled with the radio, then gave his platoon leader the answer. Sir, I hear more choppers coming our way. Davis nodded. Bravo 6, this is 1-6. Enemy helicopters have landed southeast of BP Bravo. Looks like 4 choppers. They were past us before we could engage them. We hear another group approaching. I will take them under fire. Yeah, remember before in our previous life, our command was like ambushed or strike teamed by these helicopter troopers that landed near them. Roger 1-6. Roger replied over the company command net, for God's sake, try to stop them. I'll deal with the group that has already landed. You stay in position and continue the mission. Cowper watched in awe as the second group of helicopters came into range. Cowper, now, platoon net, Davis ordered. Cowper changed the frequency to let Davis talk to his squad leaders. This is 1-6. I want all small arms fired in front of the helicopters as soon as they're in range. Direction southwest. I'll initiate fires. Watch my tracers. So we're shooting at the helicopters so they won't land near our headquarters or at our commander. Davis got out of his bunker and scanned to the west. Are the machine guns ready? Ready! Just bring the targets. Gerber, the senior machine gunner, shouted confidently. One soldier stood erect and held the bipod legs of the machine gun, supporting the weapons for its anti-aircraft role. Gerber stood behind him and cradled the machine gun on his shoulder, waiting to fire. Well, we're getting into Call of Duty shit. I love it. Davis put down the hand mic. He searched the western sky with his night vision goggles. The enemy is using every trick in the book, he thought to himself. He has landed a company behind me, and now he's trying to reinforce them with a second lift. The bastards obviously want Wadi al-Sari. Yeah, they're not getting it, because we are defending it. That's right, hoorah! Here they come, a voice shouted. Davis watched the horizon with his gun. He pointed his rifle toward the southwest and fired a full magazine of bullets in the air. Gerbert opened up with his own stream of bullets, following the platoon leader's tracers. Pandemonium broke out. Every rifle and machine gun in the platoon opened up at once on the advancing helicopters, men screaming directions and yelling encouragement to each other as the bullets widely tore into the night sky. Tracers flew through the air, making brilliant sparks as they hit the rocks on the sides of the south wall. The lead enemy aircraft exploded in mid-air from a lucky strike to its fuel cells. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. The rest of the enemy aircraft scattered, breaking formation and flying lower to the ground to avoid the tracers. The trailing aircraft veered violently south as it maneuvered to avoid the tracers. It hit the mountain that Davis had labeled the south wall. The fireball lit up the night sky like a small sun, illuminating the rocky landscape. The wreckage of twisted metal and burning flesh slid down the side of the mountain like a lava flow. The men of first platoon continued firing at the helicopters. Three of the enemy birds swerved south and then flew west, abandoning their attempt to land in the valley. Davis smiled in silent satisfaction. Two enemy helicopters destroyed. I sure am glad I established an up high on the south wall, he thought. The sharp thud of distant mortar fire drew his attention to the east. 1-6, this is 1-4. That must be Bludgell trying to hit the enemy's air assault troops. Piper yelled over his radio. If they have troops in our rear, we'd better put out a squad on security. Davis considered the possibility. War was often a choice between difficult options. Position Zulu was oriented in the right direction. He could place a machine gun on Zulu to cover the platoon's rear, but that would weaken his defense on the forward areas. His other option was to keep everyone where they were. If he reorientated a couple of machine guns, he could both defend the perimeter on BP Yankee that looked both east and west. Davis has to decide, should he send a machine gun team to Zulu or keep everyone in position? That's difficult. This is section 86. No, section 85. I'm going to backtrack a bit to try and find our most recent map because I am an idiot and didn't save it to my little docky. So I'm gonna backtrack a bit and look for it. Let's see, reverse slope is section 5. Section 42. Section 42. I think it's this one. Yep. It's that one. Then we decided to establish observation post 38. Pretty sure 38 had a map. 38. Waited for Piper, section 19. Hmm. Yes, I think our latest is here. Hmm. Yankee. Yeah, that's the latest. Sorry, folks. Uh, uh, let's look at our quotes. Second one. This is a larger map. And this is probably like command or something. I guess. First, the defender must break the attacker's charge. Next, the defender must try to engage the enemy at long range before the armored force can overrun. Yeah. One must remember. You must break the attacker's charge. Charge will come in front, of course. It's most important. If we get flanked. Oh, decisive point. Find the enemy and shoot him down. Everything else is nonsense. Yeah. Let's think about this. Could place a machine gun on Zulu, which is like there. It's far, far away. To cover the rear. That would weaken his defense forward areas. Yeah. East and west. I think, um, yeah, the fact that we can cover the rear with machine guns. Then why would we, yeah, to get a better vantage for point, sure. Why would we move it? In the end, in the end, we we made a lot of defenses. Like if you played these strategy games, the map painting games, the shitty ones, if a like a army stays put, they build their defenses, the little cover bunkers, like we did. We built all of that. We built a lot of cover for ourselves. If we leave it and go somewhere else, not only do we, how should I say, uh, yeah, not only do we then uh, make them vulnerable, I think, uh, but also we lose the advantage when they come through. We can defend our rear without needing to move. Um, no. And they might not even flank us. They might decide to attack HQ and. Hmm. I mean, why wouldn't they flank us, right? I would flank us. Although if they flank us, they would in return be flanked. Although we're not going to attack them back, I guess. Maybe, um, yeah, command will go after them. Who knows? Yeah, it's difficult. To cover. Defend the perimeter on BP Yankee. Which is BP Yankee. Sure. She can defend BP X-ray? I don't like it. I don't have enough knowledge to make a right choice. Like, if we are completely defenseless, and we're never completely defenseless. In the end, we have our little hidey holes here. And yeah, maybe on the way to Zulu. Yeah, no, 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 no. Keep everyone in place. Make sure to scout it out well. And yeah, we'll try that. Yeah. Position Zulu. I don't know. I'm not sorry for taking my time thinking about this, but yeah, this is wonderful. That must be Plagel trying to hit the enemy's ass or troops. In the end, there's one guideline, and that is always do the opposite of what Piper says. Piper says to go there, so to do the opposite, we will keep everyone in place. Ta-da! Easy peasy. When in doubt, do the opposite of what Piper wants. Let's see. Did we die? Oh no, we have to roll the dice. I don't like that. The grey sky turned light blue as the dark receded into dawn. Billows of black smoke could be seen on the western horizon. The rumble of artillery and the high-pitched screech of hundreds of rocket shells filled the early morning with sounds of death. Davis put down his night vision goggles. He looked at his map and studied the ground over which he expected the enemy armor to advance. The terrain to the northwest of Wadi al-Sari sloped downward for 4 kilometers, then gradually rose for an additional 4 kilometers to a jagged ridge on the western horizon. Between the valley and this ridge was nothing but empty desert. As the enemy approached from the west, he would have to cross this open space against the brigade's deep fires. Yeah. Unfortunately, Davis knew how weak those deep fires were. Only one battalion of artillery and few sorties from aircraft and air force. The carrier-based airplane had a short loiter time because of the distance of the battlefield from the aircraft carrier they called home. The A-10s, on the other hand, they could stay longer because they were from an Allied Air Force base to the south. The A-10s, potent tank killers, had the disadvantage of being old, big, and slow. With the improvements in air defense system in the past years, the survivability was always a matter of skill and luck. Maybe maybe they won't attack through my valley, Davis thought. Oh no. He's saying weird shit again. Maybe I made the wrong choice. Yeah, might have made the wrong choice. I don't like the tone. like I can pick up the tone now, and I saw I had to roll. So usually it's bad when you have to roll. A flight FA-18 screamed overhead, flying low over Wadi al-Sari. The aircraft headed west to attack the advancing enemy columns. Sir, I've been eavesdropping on the artillery net, Sergeant Mark reported. All the long-range stuff is engaging the enemy. We'll be in battle with the main force soon. The sound of outgoing artillery shells punctuated Mark's words. The rounds arced high overhead and exploded to the west, detonating with a rumble that shook the ground in Wadi al-Sari. A pair of planes roared across the sky to the north, dropping cluster bombs on the advancing enemy armor. I hope the brigade punches the hell out of them, thought Davis. We need every chance we can to even these odds. In offensive and defensive tactical actions, commanders fight the enemy throughout the depth of his disposition with fires and with attacks on his flanks and rear. They attack committed and uncommitted forces and synchronize the attack of enemy artillery in depth with close operations. Such in-depth operations degrade the enemy's freedom of action, reduce his flexibility, endurance, and upset his plans and coordinations. Okay, so if you flank guys, they get upset. They can't move. And what we wanted is to them to not take the wadi, but they will. They will. It's a matter of yeah. The sound of multiple explosions resonated from the area beyond the ragged ridge to the northwest. That's our stuff. Get ready, the enemy will be on us in about 20 minutes. So for the interruption, I got a call. So where was I? The sound of multiple explosions resonated from the area beyond the ridge to the northwest. That's our stuff. Get ready. The enemy will be on us in about 20 minutes. Davis focused his binoculars on the exit of the jagged ridge. The exits of the jagged ridge. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. 8 kilometers to the northwest. The passes were filled with dust and smoke. Suddenly, dark objects began racing out of each pass. Scores of vehicles, moving in high-speed columns, emerged from the passes. The vehicles quickly exited the narrow defiles and raced across the broken desert terrain. There they are, Davis declared, pointing to the distant ridge. Sergeant Mark gave Davis a worried look. They then put the radio receiver back to his ear and continued eavesdropping on the on the artillery radio frequency. The rumble of explosions increased. The detonations sounded like the strike of a huge hammer, pounding the earth to the northwest. Davis watched with silent satisfaction as one of the lead enemy columns was blanketed with the impact of cluster bombs and artillery shells. A number of vehicles in his column lurched to a halt, burst into flame. More vehicles, however, bypassed the wreckage and continued on their determined path to the east. American planes darted above the advancing enemy formations. A volley of anti-aircraft missiles greeted the attacking planes. A fiery explosion registered the mid-air destruction of one of the planes. Several other aircraft, having already dropped the ordnance, ignited their afterburners and roared back to the east, attempting to outrun the enemy's effective missile defenses. These were the Marine planes, the former ship. Okay. The sound of outgoing shells suddenly died away. The battlefield grew ominously quiet. Our deep operation is over, Davis thought. Now it's the enemy's turn. That's it, sir, Mark announced. The radio receiver still pressed against his ear. The planes are heading home. You may get some A-10s later. We can call for fire whenever we have a formation of armored vehicles to shoot at. Davis' radio crackled. 1-6, this is 6-5. The company XO called, sounding calm and in control. The enemy is attacking. We haven't identified their main effort yet, but our artillery is giving them hell. Good, thought Davis. Maybe the attack will pass by us. It won't. Roger 6-5. Anything sighted along Axis Cobra? Davis asked. We have no reports. Shit, we're being attacked. Infantry! The XO's transmission was abruptly cut off. 6-5, this is 1-6. 6-5, this is 1-6. 10 seconds tickled by. The radio remained silent. There would be no help from Bravo Company. Bravo Company. Bravo Company. That's Bravo Company. I don't know who that is. Are they one of us? No. No. Davis gave the handset to Cowper and faced to the west, watching the enemy columns get closer with each passing minute. The sound of bursting artillery, pounding a steady path from west to east, interrupted the short interlude of quiet. The explosions moved with precision in a wall of exploding steel toward the American positions. Balls of orange flame erupted in the openings to the trails on the western edge of the wadi. The earth shook under the thunder of the enemy's guns. The men dove into their fighting positions. Shit. Here it comes. Take cover. Incoming! Cowper yelled as he dove for the bottom of his fighting position. The earth in front of the tank ditch exploded in fire and smoke. Davis took one last look before he fell to the bottom of his hole, landing on top of his radio guy. The bursting artillery shells showered the American positions with rocks and dirt. The position was engulfed in a turmoil of fire and swirling steel, as if the enemy knew the precise location of every American position. Again? A fucking again? They know where we are? Oh, should we have relocated those machine guns? Because of scouts and the fucking artillery. No. I hope not. Really hope not. Section 58. Section 58. Yes. Section 58. A lot of gets directed to section 58. I don't like that. That's a bad sign. That's a bad sign. We died again. Okay. Yeah, we should have listened to Piper for once. Fuck me. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. In the end, what we learn, artillery is the most devastating thing, and spotters that will spot you artillery, the call artillery on you, like fucking Call of Duty, are the most dangerous things there is. So if we're getting flanked or whatever, yeah, if we're getting flanked or whatever, relocate those damn uh, machine guns. Fuck. Okay. Oh, this is a little lesson. Okay. That's good. We could use more lessons. We're getting good. So instead, we should have listened, find the enemy and kill them. Relocate those gunners. I still to Zulu. Yeah. Uh, the object of fighting is to kill without getting killed. Don't disperse your force. You can't punch with an open hand. Clench your fist. Keep your command together. Fight when holding, advancing or retiring. Always fight or be ready to fight. Aim at surprise. See without being seen. If you meet a man in a dark room, you jump. You should always try to make your enemy jump, either by day or by night. A jumping man can't hit. Never remain halted without a lookout. Sentries must be posted, no matter what troops are supposed to be in front of you. Guard your flanks, and keep touch with the neighboring units. Try to get at the enemy's flanks. Send information back to your immediate commander. Negative information is as important as positive. State time and place of your message. You can't expect assistance from your superiors unless you tell them where you are and how you are situated. Hold what you have got and what you gain. Never withdraw from a position until ordered to do so. When in doubt, fight it out. Okay. Platoons and squads normally defend as part of a larger force to disrupt, disorganize, delay, or block an attacking enemy. The defense is usually chosen when there is insufficient strength to attack. A defense is a coordinated effort by a force to prevent an attacker from achieving his objective. The purpose of the defense must be to seize the initiative, turn the battle against the enemy, and create conditions for offensive operations. The challenge of the defender is to gain the initiative and keep the enemy reacting and unable to execute his own plan. Wadi al-Sari is a defile, a narrow passage. The defense of a defile can be executed either in the front, within, or behind it. Each option holds advantages and disadvantages for the defender. The selection of any of these options depends on the nature of the enemy. Orson Scott Card, in his book Ender's Game, explained the importance of understanding the enemy. There is no teacher but the enemy. No one but the enemy will ever tell you what the enemy is going to do. No one but the enemy will ever teach you how to destroy and conquer. Only the enemy shows you where you are weak. Only the enemy tells you where he is strong. And the only rules of the game are what you can do to him and what you can stop him from doing. Okay. About that. Defensive tactics and techniques have evolved along with combined arms warfare over the past 40 years. With this development, 8 fundamentals have become the key to defensive success at the platoon and company levels. Keep that in mind when you plan future defensive missions. Depth. Position your forces in depth and place obstacles in depth. Depth gives you a way to absorb the attacker's initial blow and time to figure out what he's up to. It gives you the ability to develop the situation and the time and space to maneuver and concentrate your combat power where it is needed. In this case, Davis chose to conduct a frontal forward slope defense of Wadi al-Sari. His defense was linear and his obstacles, what few could place, almost linear as well. That wasn't my case, but it's okay. Dispersion. Spread apart your critical assets so that you can mass their fires without massing the weapons. In this case, Davis massed his machine guns and javelins in the center of his defense, making them easy targets for the enemy's direct fire weapons. Security. Take away the enemy's reconnaissance and you are on the road to victory. Yeah, that's what we did. Deny him the ability to see your preparations and add to your ability to win. There are many ways to protect your platoon from surprise attack. Some ways are passive, others are active. The most critical active security measures, this is what security means. Okay, so security is also scouting. Kind of. That's what I misunderstood. Like sending out a machine gunner is also like looking for the enemy actively. And we should have done that because artillery. The most critical active security measures are to conduct patrols against the enemy observation posts and to establish your own observation posts. Should have listened to Piper. Study the terrain, whenever possible by walking it, riding over it, or observing it from a vantage point. Reconnoiter from both your view and the enemy's. Know what the terrain will allow you and your enemy to do. See where it slows him down or forces him into tight column formations. Find the best covered and concealed positions that dominate likely avenues of approach. Know terrain that allows the enemy to concentrate maneuver forces. See where you have enough space and fields of fire to concentrate your available firepower. Note positions from which you can counterattack in depth into the flanks of an enemy force. See where you can position your forces to survive the enemy's initial heavy concentration of artillery fires. Yeah. Note the best terrain for positioning observation points well forward of your defensive position to observe likely avenues of approach. See where obstacles can be placed and tied in with natural obstacles to create effective barriers to stop enemy movement. Okay. Stop the enemy's rate of advance. Threat attacks are based on two principles, speed and mass. A heavily mechanized enemy usually plans to win by sustaining a high rate of advance and pushing a lot of combat power forward fast, using existing natural obstacles or place barriers to block forward movement and separate his forces. Concentrate enough indirect and direct firepower to kill him quickly, or at least kill his lead elements all at once. If you try to pick off his vehicles one by one, he will overrun you before you know it. Compress the enemy vehicles into a small area, then attack them with all the firepower you have. You don't have to outnumber the entire enemy force, you just have to outnumber them in your restricted selected management cases. A well-trained mechanized threat will mass his forces where you least expect them, and will create at least a 3-to-1 advantage over you in men and equipment. To beat him, you must develop enough friendly combat power to reduce the odds. This is done in two ways. First, you have to see your enemy while he's still well forward of your defensive positions. This will provide you time to decide what your opponent is up to and where you need to concentrate your forces. Second, you must have units skilled in maneuver that can respond quickly to one-spot orders, fragos, on-the-spot orders, Move rapidly to the threatened sector. If you can do that and hit your enemy where he's vulnerable, you can win. Yeah. When you engage the attacking force, maneuver your units into position that force the attackers to turn and fight in two directions. He will always have a flank exposed to somebody. This gives the opposing commander a very tough command and control problem. He cannot concentrate his fires but has to split them. You can therefore reduce his combat power by half. You cannot stay in position, taking whatever your attacker dishes out. Draw him into your combat engagement areas and counter-attack his exposed flank by fire. Yeah, I'm turtling too much. This is the problem. This turtle. I am going to make the exact same choices, but instead I am going to okay. I'm going to follow Piper's advice and move machine gun team to position Zulu. Yes. I knew I had a bad feeling. Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Section 30. Yeah. Yeah. I'll send an M60 to position Zulu, Davis answered. If the enemy infantry attacks from the east, the M60s will engage them and give us time to reorient our defense. Understood 1-6, Piper answered stoically. That's the best we can do right now. Roger. Call me if you have contact. 1-6 out. The sound of mortar and machine gun fire echoed from the east, attracting Davis's attention. He gave the radio headset back to Cowper and yelled for Gerber to move to his position for instructions. Gerber, followed by his ammunition bearer, Private First Class Fetterman, arrived at Davis' position and knelt next to the lieutenant. Yeah. Specialist Gerber, I want you and Fetterman to move to position Zulu and stop any enemy infantry who try to take us from the east. You know how to get to position Zulu. Do you think you can find it in the dark? The noise of the battle near BP Bravo increased in volume. No problem, sir. Fetterman and I will take as much ammo as we can carry and head that way now. We'll follow the north wall until we find the holes we dug there. So we did dug holes there. I didn't know that. Should have known. It'll take us about 10 minutes to get into position. Good. Get there quickly. I don't have a radio to spare, so you're on your own. I'm counting on you to protect our rear in case those helicopter troops head our way. Pick a position where you can hit them in the flank if they come towards us from the east. If anything goes wrong, remember our rally point at the south wall. Gubben nodded, walked back to his gun. He talked with Fetterman for a few moments, then put on his rucksack and picked up his machine gun. Private. First class Fetterman carried a rucksack. Private first class Fetterman carried a rucksack with 5 cans of ammunition. The two men marched off into the dark. There's a stain here. The sounds of fighting from the east diminished. The bright full moon moved slowly across the sky, casting shadows on the rocky ground. 1-6, this is OP North. I've got infantry heading up onto trail from. Yeah, okay. It was all beginning to make sense now, Davis realized. The enemy had launched an air assault to seize the north end of Wadi al-Sari, the exit. Now he was conducting a night infiltration attack to secure the western entrance of the valley. The enemy might have tried to assault right on BP Yankee if a surprise fire hadn't scared him. Still, the right decision done. 1-6. Yeah. The enemy is a lot sneakier than a dumb, uh, let's say, tank assault. What they do is they get people in and then just home artillery on us. Yeah, that's what they do. Which is smart. I like it. It is, yeah, fucking artillery. 1-6. This is OP South. I see enemy infantry moving 100 meters southeast of Bravo 1-3. They're coming along the south wall to drill for. Roger, OP South. Look out for fires, you adjust. Davis ordered over his radio. Davis nodded to Sergeant Mark, who was already on the radio with the artillery fire direction center. You've been trying in vain to reach the mortars. Frustrated by the attempt, he switched frequency. Sir, I can't reach anyone at company, but I've got the artillery on the line. Mark reported, his voice infused with worry. Yes, damn it, anything. Howitzers on the way, sir. Stand by OP South. Davies ordered over his radio. 1-6. They've stopped to get organized before pushing up the trail. Hurry up, 1-6. Shot! Mark screamed. Roger, 1-6. A voice whispered on the other end of the radio. We see them now. Hurry up. The southwest entrance to the valley was lit by bright flashes as 3 artillery shells detonated, marking the strike of the rounds. 1-6. This is OP South. You're close. Direction 260 degrees. Add 100. Enemy infantry in the open. Fire VT for effect. I don't know what VT. It's probably a kind of shell. Hopefully we are, I don't know, white phosphorusing their ass. I don't know. Sergeant Mark spoke frantically onto his radio headset to make the corrections to land artillery on target. A few seconds passed and new bursts of light exploded to the southwest. You're right on target. Pour it on! A scream of incoming artillery filled the air. So both theirs and ours biggest weapons are our artillery. Yeah. Mark stayed glued to his transmitter. The well-trained artillery sergeant relayed the firing information as fast as he received it. The unmistakable sound of time-fused shells exploding in the trails was the sweetest melody he heard all night. The shells detonated 18 feet above the ground, sending a deadly array of white-hot metal fragments down on the infantry below. I like this also because if you call in artillery, you don't know where the enemy is. So, yeah, like if you shoot, you can follow where the shot comes from. But the artillery, fuck, who knows where they're at. I like that. Yeah. 1-6, this is OP South. Good effects, keep it coming. The shelling lasted for 10 minutes. One deadly burst followed another. Then there was silence. Did we get them all? Davis wondered. He waited for OP South to report. The silence was suddenly terrifying. 1-6 is OP South. There's nobody moving in the impact area. Scratch 30 or so enemy infantry. Yes. Good. But it's weird that this didn't happen in the other option, because this wasn't because we sent some guys there, I think. Let's see. Oh, there's a big one. But it's not a roll. This is good. If you don't have to roll, it's not that. Yeah. To the east, Davis heard the din of distant battle, the sound of small arms fire, the thump of grenades, and the crash of muffled explosions. 1-6, this is 1-4. Sounds like there's one hell of a battle going on near BP Bravo. Roger 1-4, stand by. I'll try to find out the situation, Davis said as he quickly changed radio frequencies. Bravo 1-6, this is Bravo 6-6 Alpha, Captain Bludger's radio man announced over the radio receiver. This is 1-6, what the hell is happening over? We're under attack. The CO's, the command officer, I guess, has been hit and we lost the mortars. Sergeant Rossetti is in charge. I can't find the XO. Can you hold? Davis asked, surprised at this unexpected turn of events. He could hear the sounds of machine gun fire in the background of 6-6 Alpha's transmission. The shit here is really bad. I'm gonna check if my recording works. Recording still seems good, so I continue. The shit here is really bad. The enemy is everywhere. Can you help us? The radio suddenly went silent. 6-6 Alpha, this is 1-6 over, Davis repeated. Cowboy, check this out. RTO fiddled with the radio, checking the connections and trying to make a radio check on the company net. Sir, I can't get anyone. I tried all our frequencies. The only stations I can talk to are Piper and the ops. Check the antenna. Yes, sir, it's okay. I think we're being jammed. We must only have enough push through to reach the close stations. I can only talk to the platoon stations. Keep trying. We have to reach company or battalion. Our most important weapon, the artillery, is gone. Yeah. Davis urged. As the dawn grew close, the tension mounted. The night sky faded into a light shade of grey. OP North radioed that he was switching from night vision goggles to binoculars and continuing to observe. We're all alone, Davis thought. Please don't let them attack. Maybe they won't attack to the valley, they will. The muffled rumble of distant explosions thundered off to the west. Ah, so that's the plan. They turned off our most important weapon. And now the charge will come, I think. The noise grew louder. Davis knew that the time of battle was drawing near. He contemplated his firepower. On BP Yankee he had a total of 19 men. This was his main effort. He would have liked to send a full fire team with Gerber, but with only 19 men he couldn't afford to weaken his defense any further. A flight of planes screamed overhead, flying low over the wadi. The aircraft headed west to attack the advancing enemy columns. Explosion flashed on the western horizon. Sir, I've picked some transmissions in the artillery net. The brigade is engaging the enemy. Will be in battle with the main force soon. Section 54, I'm just going to. Should we die soon? I want to connect to here. So we know where we are. So I've picked up the brigade is here. The sound of outgoing artillery shells punctuated Mark's word. The rounds arced high overhead and exploded to the west, detonating with a rumble that shook the ground in Wadi al-Suri. Pair of planes roared across the pair of Navy planes roared across the sky to the north, dropping cluster bombs on the advancing enemy armor. The brigade punches the hell out of them, Davis thought. Every chance we can get to even these odds. The means available for conducting deep operations may be limited in number and effect and must be clearly identified and positioned. Air-delivered weapons and field artillery are the chief weapons of deep operations. Yeah. Yeah, they are. So, in essence, yeah, they just have fucking eyes. Nothing more. The sound of multiple explosions resonated from the area beyond the jagged ridge to the northwest. 10 seconds ticked by. That's a stuff. Davis shouted to his men. Get ready. The enemy will be on us in about 20 minutes. Sergeant Mark gave Davis a worried look, then put the radio receiver back to his ear and continued eavesdropping on the artillery radio frequency. The low, heavy rolling sound of explosions increased. Cannon and rocket shells hammered the ground to the west like a blacksmith pounding on a forge. Davis listened with silent satisfaction as the enemy columns were hit with cluster bombs and artillery shells. Sir O.P. Norville on the radio, Tupper announced. 1-6, here they come, Sergeant Tyler reported nervously. There's a hell of a lot of shit heading our way. Davis heard the destructive bark of Specialist Gerber machine gun off to the east. The enemy's air assault must be away from Bludgel and toward me, Davis thought. Maybe they intend to clear the valley with infantry from east to west. Damn it. Give me a proper spot report. Tell me what you see. A column of vehicles, hundreds of them, moving out of the pass at grid. That grid. Tyler was silent for a few moments. 1-6, this is OP North. OP North, that's Zulu, that's Gerber. Right. Gerber is that. Yeah. Uh, Tyler reported after a while, sounding a bit calmer. They're taking a beating. I see 3 no, make that 5 burning vehicles. Our planes are giving them hell. Good, thought Davis. Maybe this will be easy after all. It won't. I wish I knew how Gerber was doing. No time now to worry. He's a good man. He'll do his duty. American planes turned above, heading for the advancing enemy formations. 1-6, they're still coming. The lead formation of the column appears to be heading southeast, at least 20 vehicles. The rest of the column, probably 100 plus, is headed due east. Yeah. Yeah, fuck. Southeast. Yeah, that's our way. Hmm. I say again, one column appears to be attacking toward us along axis Cobra. Over. Roger OP North, good report. Davis replied slowly, measuring every word for its effect on the men who were listening on the radio. Execute as planned. Report to me as soon as the enemy is in trails, then call in the targets. Over. Wilco 1-6. The enemy was heading right for him. Davis's worst fears appeared to be coming true. A volley of anti-aircraft missiles exploded high in the air on the western horizon. Fiery explosion registered the mid-air destruction of one of the planes. Several other aircraft, having already dropped their ordnance, ignited their afterburners and roared back to the east, attempting to outrun the enemy's effective missile defense. The sound of outgoing artillery shells suddenly died away. The battlefield grew ominously quiet. Our deep operation is over. Now it's the enemy's turn. That's it, sir. Uh, the FAs are heading home. We may get some A10s later. Yeah. Kick off for fire whenever we have information to shoot at. Sergeant Mark, I'll need artillery support when the enemy gets in the trails. Davis requested. Right, working on it, sir. I've got contact with the FDC right now. 160, this is OP North. The planes have stopped attacking the enemy. Wait a minute. Is that observation point? Yeah. Yeah, those are scouts. Yeah. The planes have stopped attacking the enemy. Taking the forward observer's words to Lieutenant Davis. Yeah, these are our scouts. OP Northern is our squad. Yeah. The lead column that broke away from the main body is still heading towards us. This is great. They're sending a small detachment forward of the main body to take Wadi al-Suri and flank the battalion. Yeah. The rat-tat-tat-tat of an M60 machine gun sputtered from the platoon rear. Gerber is still at it, Davis thought. Hang on, soldier. I've got the horde coming my way. See another column heading east. Can't tell if it's following the lead column. There's too much smoke and dust now. Request permission to pull back. Sergeant Tyler at OP North begged. It's time to make a decision. There's too much smoke and dust. No, no. A fucking scout? No. You're a scout. And scouts don't retreat. You're not on the fire right now. You're not getting fucked or overwhelmed. There's just smoke and dust. And you can't see. Okay, yeah, well, maybe dust will clear. No. I'm not going to remove a scout. Are you crazy? Maybe you'll die. Fuck it. But we need eyes. No. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I don't think so at all. No. We're not doing that. You're getting called a slur. Yeah. Yeah. This is no brain. Observation point north. Yeah. I'm just gonna take a picture of this because I think we missed a map. A map I've seen was hanging on the cable of my second screen, but uh, I feel like we're missing a map. A map I didn't. Mhm. I didn't write down. Go away. When we established the scouts. Yeah. There it is. There it is. That's what I wanted. This map. I should have saved. No, where was I? Yeah. No, Tyler. Sorry, dude, but you will stay. Yeah. OP North begged. This OP North. No. No. It's just not going to happen. Scouts will stay. You're being cowardly, I don't care. Fuck off. That's what I thought. Negative OP North. Davis ordered calmly. Stay in position. You're more Gutu is there than down here. I need your eyes. Continue to report. K16, whatever you say. The sound of radio was replaced by the scream of enemy artillery. The rear area near the tank ditch. They attacked our disguise. The area near the tank ditch and the openings of the trails into the wadi took a tremendous beating by the enemy's artillery. Positions on BP Alamo are being torn apart. OP South reported. Davis smiled slyly, happy that he had not chosen to defend the valley from the forward slope. Get ready. We should be receiving incoming artillery shortly. Davis yelled at the top of his lungs. Get ready! Davis yelled, that's us, yelled at the top of his lungs to the men of BP Yankee. BP Yankee. BP Yankee. Mark, Hutchinson, and Cowboy ducked down inside their four-man sighting positions. Their artillery will be passing over soon. Cobb sat low in his hole right next to his platoon leader. The artillery was strained to hit the radio, pressing the receiver hard against his ear. Davis took one last look and dropped down next to Cowboy. The four men waited for the artillery. So it's OP North. Yeah, shouted. The enemy column is at the Terp Troop Bravo 101. So those are they're here. Okay. They're other friends. Yeah. Davis crouched lower in his hold. He grabbed his hand mic from Cowper. Bravo 6, this is 1-6. Davis shouted, trying to reach his company commander. Bravo 6, this is 1-6, over. There's no response. Damn it. No one is answering, Cowper. Cowper switched to the company's jump frequency. Cowper fumbled with the buttons on top of the radio. Said, sir, Bravo 6, this is 1-6, Davis repeated. 1-6, this is 6-5. The company XO report sounding harried and out of control. Thank God. Before through jamming. We've been badly shot up. Most of the company is dead. Sandberg. Oh no. Sandberg, a friend. Got hit by the air assault. It took us by surprise. I had to pull out of BP Bravo. What's your situation? 6-5. I've got at least 20 vehicles attacking along Cobra. I need artillery support. The sound of artillery pounding a steady pair from west to east filled the air. The ground trembled. 1-6, I can't help you. I can't help you. You're on your own. We have reports of. Hold it, I'll try to get back to you. The Exo's transmission was cut off. Bravo 6-5, this is 1-6. And silence. Except for the thunder of artillery, which grew louder. Balls of orange flame erupted in the western trails of Wadi al-Sri. The earth rocked under the pounding of the enemy's artillery. The shells walked their way up the valley, pounding a path of destruction to the east, getting closer to Davis' men with each passing second. It is with artillery that war is made, Davis thought, remembering the words of Napoleon. Yeah, that's a conclusion I drew a bit ago. Look out, here he comes! Incoming! Cowper dove under the protection of his shelter. The earth to the front of BP Yankee exploded in fire and smoke. Davis sat close to Cowper, weathering the storm of fire. Dirt was falling all over them. Dust filled the air, entering our mouth and nose, filling our lungs. It was hard to breathe. The impact of each round shook Battle Point Yankee like an earthquake. Rocks and flying metal pelted the sides and tops of the fighting position. Each impact pushed Davis against the ground. The rounds fell close, but soon the fire slacked. The artillery slowly shifted to the center of the valley, rolled off to the east. Artillery is so important, and because artillery they didn't have a scout for targeted artillery, like our defense was able to defend us, because the artillery was not right on top of us, but nearby, Thank God, Davis announced, his voice muffled by the roar of exploding shells. Everyone okay? Everyone okay? Sergeant Mark, Specialist Hutchinson stuck their heads up and nodded. Sir. Mitsugishi reports 1 man wounded. Okay. X-ray took a heavy pounding. Piper was still getting a report. Okay. Davis rose up and looked to east. Smoke lingered low to the ground to the east of Wadi al-Sari. Not sure how wounded. Let's see. Enemy artillery was now falling north of BP Bravo, whistling overhead on its way to impact other Americans' positions in Davis Battalion. With BP Bravo in enemy hands, the attackers had apparently shifted their artillery targets to outside of Wadi al-Sari. Did you hear the report of enemy tanks at Bravo 101? Davis shouted. No! Mark yelled. Hutchins, give me the radio. Aha. That's why we have our scout. Because command didn't hear that, didn't know. But our scout saw it. Yeah, exactly. I can't reach the company or battalion mortars, Mark screamed. Forget them, Davis ordered. Change frequency and call for a 85. We won't stop them with mortars. Yeah, Mark is our command, I think. Yeah. Hutchinson's pulled the radio closer to read the frequency window. He read the frequency from the plastic wristcoat on his left forearm. So you have like a plastic, yeah, you have like a wristband that has the artillery frequency. Okay, it's pretty bad. I like that detail. Sergeant Mark started shouting into the transmitter as soon as Hutchinson finished with the buttons. Victor 76, this is Charlie 55, fire for effect. Target Brave 101, over. I got them, sir, Mark explained jubilant. Give it to them right here, Davis said, pointing to his map at the location of the Northern Trail. Trail 1. Soon Mark and the artillery falling at target Bravo 101. Lieutenant, keep it up. OP North says you're right on target, Cowper yelled. His Kevlar helmet tilted on his head, the hand Mike pressed hard against his rear. Davis' ears were ringing from the noise of the barrage, but he heard Cowper's shouts and grinned. Mark, keep pouring it on, repeat, Davis yelled, using the artillery term that indicated to continue firing the same target. Sergeant Mark huddled against the back of the fighting position. He held one radio handset to one ear, listening to OP North, and one radio headset to the other ear, calling for fire from the artillery battalion, the artillery guys, FDC, I don't know what that is. His long radio antenna extended from the protection of the earth, wood, and sandbag reinforced bunker. The sergeant yelled into the handset, adjusting the fire. The sound of US artillery filled the air as US shells smashed into Bravo 101, with OP North guiding his fires. Mark quickly shifted deadly shells onto the enemy. The Buckham is in effect. I don't know what it is. Sir OP North. Tactical news. No, probably not. It would be fun. Sir OP North. Cowper handed his lieutenant the radio transmitter. OP North report, Davis yelled. We knocked out 3 BMPs and the tank at Bravo 101. Also, the second trail is blocked. I say again, trail 2 is blocked. Trail 2 is blocked. This is blocked. Yes. Uh, looks like they're trying to come through at Bravo 104. Over. No, I thought Bravo 104 was on the map, but it's not. How many are there? Davies questions. Looks like about 25 vehicles, Sergeant Tyler reported. Roger. We're firing Bravo 104 now. Tell them when they're at Bravo 102. The American artillery continued pounding the narrow northern trails. We're kicking the shit out of them. Keep firing, OP North shouted through Davis. Imagine if we pulled him back. But the enemy kept coming, in spite of the deadly artillery fire. Davis could see the black smoke rising high in the sky from the impact of the right. Oh, KD is amazing. No. That's the most important thing in war. KD, you know. They're crossing the tank ditch by pushing wrecks onto the ditch and driving over their own vehicles, Opinov reported. There are 2 BMPs and a tank struggling to exit the tank ditch right now. Enemy machine gun tracers and tank cannons projectile blasted the unoccupied PP Alamo. Davis watched as the balls bounced off the rocks and tracers flew harmlessly over high in the air. That we're not in BP Alamo, Davis confessed, nodding to Mark. Mark was too busy to respond. He stayed glued to the artillery net. A huge explosion roared to the west of the tank ditch. Thick black smoke swirled to the heavens. Another enemy tank had hit a well-placed anti-tank mine. Ha ha ha, yes! Imagine if we let them, sleep, huh? So we're going to lose our fires, Mark said nervously. The artillery has to move. Not now, how about mortars? No response. They might have been taken out by the enemy. Call the artillery and tell them I have a company-sized target at Bravo 102. Davis grabbed Sergeant Mark by the arm and looked at him with murderous, determined eyes. Make them fire for us. Tell them anything. They can't leave us now. Mark looked stunned, then shouted into the radio transmitter, conveying the lieutenant's anger into the headset. A huge explosion occurred forward of the hill, out of view of Davis's position. Davis saw the smoke, pieces of a tank turret, flying into the air to the west of the hill. A series of secondary explosions sent green and red traces shooting madly into the sky. Sir O.P. South, Hopper yelled, giving the lieutenant the handshake again. On 6, they came around to the south and entered the minefield Mike 3. 2 tanks and 1 BMP destroyed in Mike 2. Mike? Oh, minefield is Mike. Mike. M2, M3. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. He won't try that again. They got the hell blown out of them. Which way are they going now? Davis asked. Not sure. They seem confused. Somehow they got men in the tank ditch. They're breaking down the tank ditch with shovels and picks. Most of them are in the north. Okay. With trail 2 blocked, it looks like they're going to try to force their way up trail 1. Okay. Roger, OP South. Keep adjusting the fires. We're trying to get mortars. Suddenly the sky in the west burst with the explosions of American artillery crashing into the long crowded lines of enemy armored vehicles. Thick black smoke billowed skyward as a testimony of the artillery's destruction. That's it, sir. That's their last volley. You have to move the guns now. Breaking through the tank ditch, but the minefields are slowing them down, OP North reported. Roger, break 1 forward. Did you monitor? Over. They've got BMPs and tanks coming up trail 1. Stand by. They'll be on us soon. 1-6, this is 1-4. Understood, we're ready. We need more artillery, Sergeant Tyler. We need more artillery, Sergeant Tyler at OP North cried over the radio. If we get more artillery now, we can stop them. Davis didn't have the courage to tell everyone over the radio that the cannons were moving, that he would not come, and he could not contact the mortars. Yeah. 1-6, this is 1-4. We've taken 3 casualties. Friedman is wounded in the leg, and Johnston and Moyer are dead, both killed by artillery. Davis felt his stomach tighten. His little band of defenders was paying dearly for Wadi al-Suri, he thought. 2 men are dead. 1 is wounded. How many will live to see another day? Yeah, yeah. They've dismounted a platoon in the tank ditch, OP North reported. We're not getting any fire now. Where's the artillery? The enemy continued to work on the ditch. Smoke billowed from the west. The enemy is using his vehicle smoke system to hide his breach of the tank ditch and the frills, Davis thought. Damn it. Wish we had some artillery right now. Platoon waited in the reverse slope positions. Piper to the south in BP X-ray with 8 men, 1 wounded. And Davis, Baby Yankee, with 18 men, 1 wounded. Davis' javelin gunners waited tensely for the first armored vehicle to poke its nose over the hill. 1-6, they're crossing the ditch now, OP screamed. 1-6, they're crossing the ditch now! OP North screamed. Get me some fire and I'll try to target them. Roger, OP North, there's no more artillery. Keep reporting. Everyone get ready. 3 BMPs and 2 Fangs are headed along the North Fallen Trail 1. OP North responded. Enemy artillery began to strike the American positions again to support the breach of the tank ditch. Look out! Okay. Tank. Section 94. Wasn't section 58 that you died? Well, I think section 94 is probably good. Because, yeah. Let's have a look. There's one rolling of dice. Yeah. The high caliber enemy artillery shells kicked up huge geysers of dirt and rock. The rounds struck the area west of BP Yankee, far enough away to be harmless. Davis knew that it was only a matter of time until the enemy guns found that range. Rumbling like a furious thunderstorm, a new volley of artillery shells smashed into the trails that led into Wadi El Sari. Many of the enemy rounds were now smoke shells, spreading their haze to obscure the openings of the trails into the wadi. Several shells fell close to BP Yankee. Then just as suddenly the fire slackened, rolled over them and marched east. Davis and Cowper picked themselves up from the bottom of their fighting position. Davis scanned the position, searching for each familiar face. The javelin gunners waved that they were all right. Davis received similar assurances from the rest of the men on BP Yankee. Luckily, no one has been hurt in this new volley of fire. So it's OP North, he says. It's hard to see with all the smoke, but he thinks they've got tanks and 4 BMPs moving on Trail 1. Get the javelin ready, Davis shouted to Specialist Chambers in the next position to the left. Chambers knelt, with the javelin on his shoulder facing the oncoming enemy vehicle. He sent a worried glance back to Lieutenant Davis. Davis coolly stood up in the foxhole and looked to the 2 anti-armor gunners in positions on the left and right-hand side of position Yankee. Javelin gunners stand by, Davis shouted in a cracked voice. They'll be here in a few seconds. Chambers, make your first shot count. The soldiers gave the lieutenant a thumbs up. Their thermal sights were firmly attached to the javelin missiles. The gunners were in position, scanning. The smoke got thicker at the opening of the trails into Wadi al-Sari. Suddenly a tank crashed through the smoke at high speed, firing its machine guns erratically as it raced by. Chambers fired, its launcher shooting exhaust smoke. Flame and debris to the rear of BP Yankee. The missile darted up and down as it accelerated toward the fast-moving target. The javelin missile smashed into the top of the tank. The javelin warhead through the top armor, buried into the turret, and ignited the ammunition in the tank, right below the main gun. The explosion sent pieces of the turret into the air. A BMP jerked to a halt right before the destroyed tank. Montoya fired his javelin just as the BMP stopped. The missile struck the BMP in a shower of sparks, forcing the vehicle sideways and exposing the rear doors to the Americans. The doors burst open. The raging flames devoured the life that had once been inside. Suddenly raced by the scene of devastation. A tremendous explosion stopped this BMP. Fire gushed out of the ground as it hit a well-concealed anti-tank mine. The mine sent a stream of fire up the belly of the vehicle. Exploding from the inside out, it disintegrated in a burst of black smoke. Like I said, KD is important. More BMPs pushed forward, determined to gain the reverse slope. Davis' men continued to fire at the advancing armored vehicles. Machine guns rattled and scraped the sides of the vehicles. A flurry of American anti-tank rockets greeted the advancing enemy, was unaware that he had entered a well-constructed killing zone. 2 BMPs were stopped by AT-4s, 2 others were destroyed by anti-tank mines. Observing through gaps in the smoke, OP North reported that the lead company of the enemy advance guard continued along Cobra. The entire area of Wadi al-Sari filled with smoke from vehicle exhaust, smoke generators, blazing vehicles, and burning smoke pots. Bypassing the burning vehicles at the end of Trail 1, enemy plofangs cleared the mines and headed toward battle position Bravo. A tank broke through the smoke and pelted BP Yankee with machine gun fire. Several of our men were hit. One soldier, Private Winder, lay on his back, clutching his head with both hands and kicking up the ground inside his blood-soaked position. So anguished screams filled the air between the roar of exploding vehicles and flying lead. For a few seconds, Winder stopped kicking, lay still. The tank rushed BP Yankee, apparently eager to finish off the rest of the defenders. Suddenly the tank disintegrated in a powerful explosion caused by another mine. At the same time, Chambers fired another javelin and reduced the BMP to a flaming mass of burning metal. This engagement area was crowded with burning vehicles. 1/6 is OP South. You've bolted them up along Trail 1. A tank is working its way towards you from Trail 3. Watch your left flank. Before Davis could answer, the tank charged through the smoke, leveled his gun, BP Yankee. Okay. 4. Go to section 64. Okay. Still enrolling. We are rolling the dice a lot. Should we die here? I think I'm going to make the same decisions. And hopefully hope for better dice. Okay. But yeah, it is, yeah. An anti-tank rocket, fired from Piper's position, exploded against the rock to the left front of the enemy tank. The tank stopped and quickly slewed its turret towards BP X-ray, scanning the newest fire. Fire! Now! Chambers fired. The ends of the javelin missile exploded, shooting the warhead racing towards the enemy tank. Chambers quickly ducked under cover after firing the missile. The javelin missile hit the enemy tank in the turret. The tank resonated with the impact like a bell being hit with a heavy hammer. The hatches opened and fire and smoke spewed skyward. The enemy tank crew never made it out. The tank sat lifeless, flickering its soul to the smoke-filled desert air. The immediate battlefield grew suddenly quiet. To the north, Davis heard the distant blasts of tank cannons and the terrible thud of artillery fire. 1/6, this is OP North, Sergeant Tyler announced jubilantly. They've had it! The tanks and BMPs that are left have held up west of the trails. It looks like they're going to send the infantry forward to clear you out before they risk any more armor. Davis breathed a sigh of relief. Gain some time. Can't hold back another attack, he thought. 1-6 is OP North, do you copy? Davis waited a few moments to catch his breath. Roger, OP North. Good job. We're going to try to contact now before the infantry closes in on us. Looks like 2 BMPs are moving forward to support the infantry. Ordered OP North. Davis hesitated. This pause in the battle was his best chance to break contact, he thought. But if we run now, while the enemy rushes us with BMPs, we'll get slaughtered. I'll have to leave a rear guard. I'll handle the BMPs and the infantry. Your mission is over. Lay low and wait for nightfall. Meet me at our rally point no later than 21 hours, Davis said as he searched his map for the revenue point. 1-4 and OP South will withdraw now. Do you understand? Affirmative 1-6 will be here before 2100. Okay, North responded sullenly. Wait for us. We'll wait. Stay on the radio and try to keep clear of the trails. The enemy will be all over them. 1-4, did you monitor? Roger 1-6. I'll pick up OP South and Gerber on the way. Be careful of those BMPs. Wilco, good luck. I'll meet you at the rally point. Out. Davis gave Cowper to the radio handset. Then he crawled out from his bunker and waved to Mitsuguchi to meet him. Mitsuguchi ran in short, quick rushes to his platoon leader's position. Sergeant Mark, Mitsuguchi, and Davis knelt in the open firing position on the right side of Davis' bunker. We only have 184 and 2 saws left, sir. It's not enough to stop them. The saw ammo is almost out. Okay, listen up. Now's our chance. You have 10 minutes before their infantry gets here. Grab your weapons and the wounded. We'll make a break for it. Run to the south wall and link up with Piper. Mitsuguchi pulled a stained map out of his battle dress pants cargo pocket and laid it in front of them. Stay behind with saws to provide covering fire, Davis ordered. Mitsuguchi, you're in charge. Mark, you go with Mitsuguchi. Change your radio frequency to mine so I can link up with you when I pull out of here. Sergeant Mark nodded. Get to the south wall as fast as you can, then head east until you reach the rally point. Hide there for a few hours. I'll meet you there. If I don't show up in a reasonable amount of time, take off and head southeast. The 1st Brigade of the 1st Infantry Division is supposed to be 8 kilometers southeast of us. You have to try to link up with them. Wilco, you can count on me. I know that, Davis answered with a bleak smile. She put his hand on the sergeant's shoulder. Just don't try any heroics. We've done enough for one day. So I don't want to leave you here. Why don't we? There's no time for argument. Give me the last 84s on your squad radio and then get everyone moving. Yes, sir. Mitsuguchi nodded, pressing his hand to his helmet in a hasty salute. When he rushed back to gather his men, Sergeant Mark checked the radio frequency and contacted the platoon sergeant. Sergeant Mark, contact Piper on the radio. To Davis. Make sure he withdraws and meets you at the rally point. Wait for Sergeant Tyler there too. Don't leave anyone behind. Cowper, go with Mitsuguchi. Davis said. Cowper looked at his platoon leader in disbelief. It's an order, soldier. Get cracking. You're more good to me with the platoon. I'm counting on you to make company with friendly forces. We'll try to link up with the units of the 1st Infantry Division. Cowper grudgingly obeyed, placed the precious radio on his back. Mitsuguchi assembled his men. 1 soldier had been killed in the fight. 4 were wounded. 2 of the wounded were serious and had to be carried on makeshift litters. Misoguchi handed his platoon leader the last remaining anti-tank weapon. Davis threw 4 white smoke grenades to cover their exit in order to group to move out. Quickly, the infantrymen carrying their wounded and their equipment withdrew to the southeast. Davis watched the men leave. 2 saw gunners, Private First Class Ward, and Specialist Reardon flanked Davis in his fighting position. Reardon armed a claymore mine and set it out to the flank of his position. The sound of distant firing rumbled off to the north. The burning tanks and BMPs in the platoon's engagement area crackled and sizzled, occasionally exploding as fuel ammunition was touched off by the flames. Then Davis heard the shouts of enemy infantry. "Here they come, sir," said Specialist Reardon, saw Connor to Davis' left. Reardon pulled back the charging handle of his saw. Davis observed several enemy riflemen approaching. The enemy squad moved in bounds between the smoking remains of the demolished vehicles. 5 soldiers brandishing assault rifles moved cautiously around the right side of the burning enemy tank that Davis' men had just destroyed. "Fire!" Before the enemy soldiers could react, Reardon and Ward cut them down with a stream of bullets. Then more enemies rushed forwards. Davis, kneeling in his bunker, fired his M16 at the enemy rifleman. His well-aimed shot knocked an enemy soldier off his feet. Davis transferred his aim to another soldier. The crack of his rifle dropped the second attacker in front of a smoldering tank. The rest of the enemy soldiers dove for cover. An enemy machine gun opened fire at the Americans from the west. Soon, several machine guns were firing, their bullets slicing into Davis's position as the gunners found their target. Davis ducked down inside his bunker. Ward, hit by an enemy machine gun burst, was knocked back into the rear of his fighting position. The young fighter died instantly. Now there are only 2 of us, Davis thought. "A BMP is coming down the trail," Reardon shouted. Davis waited as the BMP raced past the wrecks. Machine gun blazing at Davis, closing the distance for the kill. A stream of machine gun bullets pelted their position. Both Americans hugged the protective wall of the bunker, avoiding the fire. Davis reached for the last 84. He prepared the anti-tank missile for firing and calmly waited for the advancing BMP to get within range. When I say go, you fire your claymore. Then open up with your saw. When the claymore goes off, I'll hit him with the 84. Now. 6. Just survived. I saw that. I saw that. I survived. Ooh. Ah. That will be an interesting choice. That will be an interesting choice. We'll leave the choice for next time. Yeah, I'm going to end it here. Went a long way. And yeah, it's a lot more serious now. We got a good KD. Yeah, it's a lot better than last time. So see you guys next time for more Rifle Platoon. Goodbye.